There's a stillness in Sherwood Forest that doesn't feel right. The oaks are in full leaf, but the birds that should be filling them have gone quiet too early. This forest has stood for 1,000 years, but something underneath it is shifting, and the creatures that live here are already the first to know. Stand here long enough beneath the oaks of Sherwood, and you start to understand why people made legends out of this place. The trees are enormous, ancient. Some of them have been standing since before the Norman conquest, their trunks wider than a man can reach around, their bark furrowed deep enough to lose a hand in. Sherwood Forest holds one of the largest concentrations of ancient and veteran oaks in Western Europe, a miniature city in ecological terms, with a single ancient oak supporting over 2,000 distinct forms of life. These are not just old trees, they are carbon vaults, living infrastructure, organisms that have outlasted every human institution built around them. And the most famous of them all, the major oak, the tree, the legend says, sheltered Robin Hood himself, is dying. The major oak, thought to be between 800 and 1,200 years old and standing at the heart of Sherwood Forest, has experienced its sharpest decline in recent years. Scientists point to a combination of soil compression from millions of visitors and a sequence of hot, dry summers. The most acute phase began around 2022, when the UK experienced record temperatures of 40.3 degrees Celsius in July. In 2025, its crown produced fewer leaves than at any time in recent memory. In 2026, the tree failed to produce any leaves at all. After examination by leading tree and soil experts, it is now thought to have come to the end of its life. That is the headline, but the headline misses the deeper story. Because the major oak's decline is not just the loss of one famous tree. It is a signal about what is happening to the whole canopy system beneath which it stood. The stresses are complex. Soil compaction so severe that rain can no longer reach the roots, and 5 consecutive years of drought and record heat that pushed the aging tree beyond its limit. Now go underground, beneath any of the ancient oaks here, and you find the same pressures playing out invisibly. The mycorrhizal fungal networks threaded through the soil, the underground system through which oaks share water and nutrients and chemical signals, are being disrupted by repeated drought. The network doesn't announce its failure, it just quietly thins. The trees above it simply become more isolated, more vulnerable, more alone. Then cut upward again, back into the canopy, or rather to what should be filling it. The pied flycatcher arrives in Sherwood each spring, having crossed the Sahara and flown the length of Europe. It times that entire journey to one thing: the brief, explosive flush of caterpillars that erupts when oak leaves first open. That is the feast. That is the reason for the whole migration. Warmer conditions earlier in the year are increasing the phenological mismatch between pied flycatchers and their caterpillar prey. Warming has moved leaf budding dates earlier, and only the more adaptable caterpillars have advanced their population boom to match. The result is that caterpillar species peak weeks before the flycatchers arrive from migration. And when their chick offspring are finally born and begin consuming food, the critical food source is no longer available. Nestlings are born into a food-scarce environment with poor reproduction and declining populations the consequence. The birds haven't changed. The journey hasn't changed. The forest simply moved the feast to a date they weren't told about. And there is a second pressure on the canopy, arriving from a different direction entirely. Ash dieback, a fungal disease that has been spreading through British woodlands for years, is now removing ash trees from Sherwood's understory and mid-canopy at a scale the forest has not experienced in living memory. Where ash once filtered the light and held the middle layer together, gaps are opening. light is reaching the forest floor in ways it hasn't for centuries. That sounds perhaps like an opportunity. In some sense it is, but it is also a chaotic, unplanned experiment. The forest's internal architecture dismantled faster than any of its species can adapt to. Ancient oaks, those that have reached 400 years of age, become vital ecological hubs. As these trees naturally hollow and shed limbs, they provide essential habitats for thousands of species, from rare invertebrates that thrive on decaying heartwood to birds nesting in their cavities. Lose enough of that structure, through drought, through disease, through the slow severing of underground networks, and the cascade doesn't stop at the trees. It moves through everything that depends on them. The canopy is thinning. The ground below it is warming. And into that newly opened, newly lit, newly unstable space, something is beginning to move in. Something that has no business being in a Nottinghamshire woodland at all. The pied flycatcher crosses an entire continent and arrives to find the feast already over. Would you still make that journey, or would you adapt your timing? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because something else entirely has already made that calculation, and it's moving into Sherwood right now. Where the ash trees have fallen and left those gaps in the canopy, something has arrived that has no business being in a Nottinghamshire woodland at all. The purple emperor. A butterfly so large, so improbably vivid, its wings catching the light at exactly the right angle to flash an iridescent blue-purple that feels tropical, almost hallucinatory, that for most of recorded history it belonged to the chalk downlands and ancient forests of southern England. Purple emperor butterflies have been confirmed as breeding residents of Sherwood Forest itself, not some transient vagrant, but a species establishing itself in the forest alongside the legend of Robin Hood. The butterfly's northward range expansion has continued. The first individuals were spotted in neighbouring South Derbyshire in July 2024, and on additional sites in 2025, pressing steadily northward and following the warming summers. That is extraordinary. It is also unsettling, because the forest opening up to welcome the purple emperor is the same forest that is failing the pied flycatcher. These are not separate stories. They are the same story told from two different angles. One species finds the disruption useful, another finds it catastrophic, and the forest cannot choose which version it wants to be. Then there is the deer, with no wolves, no lynx, predators absent not because nature removed them, but because people did. The deer population that moves through Sherwood has nothing to regulate it. Every light gap that ash dieback opens, every patch of ground that finally receives sun after centuries of shade, every regenerating sapling that represents the forest's attempt to renew itself, the deer find it first. The understory is being eaten before it can grow. This is what ecologists call a trophic cascade failure, the forest trying to heal and being stopped at each attempt by an imbalance that is entirely a human inheritance. The researchers and wildlife trusts monitoring all of this depend on one thing beyond funding and data. They depend on people caring enough to keep watching. This forest story only continues if it has witnesses. Stand back at the old oak now, the same one from the beginning of this, and listen. The silence is still there, but it is not the silence of emptiness. It is the silence of a forest mid-transformation, holding its breath between what it was and what it is becoming. Something ancient is ending here. Something stranger and not yet named is beginning. Subscribe and watch the next one. This forest isn't the only place quietly becoming something new.